Henry Cavill. Give some love, everybody.
Lauren, and we give you and be very pleased. Thank you so much. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Can I join the picture? Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Lauren. Thank you. December 20, ladies and gentlemen, The Witcher on Netflix. We'll see you later at the Ayala Mall for the special screening.
Hi everyone, how you doing? I've just been enjoying the hotel and sleeping.
The Philippines is different, and the Philippines is the best.
That's true.
Yes, and we're so happy to have the both of you here. Anyways, here we go. The Witcher has been translated in 20 different languages.
I was a fan of the Witcher books. I had read the first book, The Last Wish, before Netflix approached me about the show, and I was a huge fan of it. So getting to do this has just been a dream come true. It's so much bigger than what I thought it was going to be. So I never expected to come to the Philippines, that's for sure.
Hey, what about you? Were you a fan of The Witcher? Were you a fan of the character before playing the character?
Absolutely, I was, yes. My introduction to the character first came through the games. I'm a big PC gamer, and I've been gaming since I was a young boy. And then after I met Lauren told me that there were a series of books. And I knew there was a series of books, but I just assumed they were based upon what the games had created. Little did I know that Sapkowski had actually written them way before, and the games were based on the books. And so I got to those and fell in love with them. And I've been a fantasy genre fan since I was a boy as well. And for me, it was just such a wonder to read something so new and fresh take.
How did you get them?
I heard that Netflix were making it into a show, and I called my agents and I said, right guys, I want to at least get into the room here as early as possible and see if I can get this. This is really, really important to me. And they said, okay, cool, great. And then I didn't hear anything back for a week. And so I called them that week and said, have you done anything yet? And they said, yeah, no, we put a call into Netflix. And I was like, yeah, but have you heard back? And they went, well, yes, we have. And there's nothing going on yet. And I was like, well, keep on calling until you find out what's going on. And don't stop calling. And so I called them back every 3 days and said, have you spoken to them yet? And they said, yeah, okay, well, we'll call again, Henry. And they kept on with this. And eventually, when Lauren was ready to take meetings, they must have said, look, you've got to meet this guy, otherwise he's gonna turn up at the door and it'll be embarrassing. And so I met with Lauren, we had a lovely chat about the character and about the storyline, and then she had to go through her casting process. And so I think it was about 6 or 7 weeks later, I got a call saying, would you like to audition for the role? And I was on holiday at the time. I cancelled my holiday and we all flew into New York and we had an audition there, and the rest is history.
Describe to me, Lauren, your working relationship with Henry. How is that? How's your work like?
It's okay. No. No, it's amazing. You know, when I first met Henry, we had such a good meeting, and we really did. We got in depth to the character and the way that I wanted to tell these stories. But I was very honest, and I said, we don't have scripts yet. We haven't started the process. I don't have a job to offer you. And then we did go through the casting process, and we met 207 other potential Geralts. And at the end of the day, what I realized is that as I always had Henry's voice in my head. And so when
it's a terrifying prospect.
Yeah. That's, so, you know, when we met again, we just immediately kicked off a great creative relationship. And I think what a lot of people don't know about actors, specifically on television, we shot for 178 days. That's a lot of days. And we worked very long hours, mostly through the night, in the rain and the snow. We shot in Central Europe. And you count on your actor not just to embody the character, which obviously Henry does incredibly well, but you also count on your actor to be a leader on set, to show up, to set the tone. One of my favorite things about Henry is how seriously he takes the job. He not only shows up prepared, knows Geralt inside and out, better than I do now, but he also shows up on time, ready to work with a great attitude. And to me, that's all I want at work every day. And so that partnership has just been amazing between us.
Oh, thanks, Lauren.
You're so welcome.
How did you prepare for that?
The preparation for me, for Geralt, was a little bit inbuilt.
Okay.
As I say, I've been a fan of the fantasy genre since I was a boy, and my father would read to me before I could read, and it was always fantasy genre books, and every book I've picked up to read just for the sake of reading for enjoyment in my free time has more often than not been part of the fantasy genre. And so when I came to playing the games, I was playing the games thinking, how could I make this into a movie or a TV show? And then after I met with Lauren and read the books, it all happened quite naturally, internally speaking. And then I had the good fortune of working with Lauren, who was such an open book when it came to us discussing the character and to how he was going to look and how we're going to adapt it. And when we eventually got me in the chair and Jackie Rathor and Avala Mas, the girls in charge of actually making me look like Geralt, did such an incredible job that what I hadn't done preparation-wise, or what I couldn't do preparation-wise, was finished off in that 2-hour process every morning. And I'm incredibly thankful to those ladies for doing such a hard job, not just every day, but every night as well. They took their work home with them. And Jackie made sure that wig was looking perfect. There were 3 wigs, and they all went through different processes. And she was having nightmares about it. Right, Jack? Where are you?
Oh, she's here. Jack's here.
She's somewhere here. Yeah, everyone round of applause for Jack.
Yes, 3 different wigs. Fight with a sword here. Is the sword heavy? Can you explain to us how did you train with a sword fight?
Was it heavy? Yes, to a degree. I mean, a real sword, a perfectly balanced sword, is heavy to a point, but not that heavy. The trickiest thing about fighting on set with a sword, with a real weight sword, is that you're not swinging through something. You're not trying to actually kill someone or hit someone, and so stopping the sword is the trickiest bit. Because normally, if you do a swing and you carry it through behind you.
Did you whack anybody?
Not with a real one.
Okay. Okay.
No. When you do stunt fighting, especially with the lightweight swords, it is. I mean, in an ideal world, you don't make contact with anyone's hands or anything, but if you're doing a very technical fight, then it's pretty much part.
For you, Lauren, can you talk about approaching the project on a woman's perspective and writing and building the character of Ciri Yennefer? How is that?
You know, it's a really interesting question because I never think of myself as a female writer. I'm just a writer trying to tell good stories.
A brilliant writer.
Thank you. That would be weird if I called myself a brilliant writer trying to tell stories, but I appreciate that. No, so what's important to me is to make sure that the stories that we're telling about women are as dimensional and interesting as the ones we're telling about men. It's not about women being more important, it's not about men being more important. It's about making sure that all of these characters are fully fleshed out. And for me, you know, I like to describe the story of The Witcher as a broken family coming together. Which in this family there's 3 members. There's Geralt, there's Yennefer, and Ciri. And if we want to make that collision course of them coming together the most interesting, then they all have to be interesting characters. So what happens, well, when you get to the episodes where you see these characters start to meet, you see that making sure that we love these characters for who they are will make their interactions all the...
In every role, you're different. You're very, very different. That's how brilliant of an actor you are. How did you physically prepare for this role? Was there a different kind of physical preparation, training? Was it different?
Every training experience is different depending on the job, because the trickiest thing about training for any role is finding the time to fit the training in. But for this one in particular, because of the athleticism of Geralt's fighting style, there's a lot of pirouettes, there's a lot of explosive movements, and a lot of uneven ground. You're not fighting in a gym, you're fighting on a slope with cobbles, and it's a dusty floor as well, or it's raining, whatever the case may be. And so you have to make sure that everything is protected, and you build up the right muscle groups which can protect things like knee joints or whatever it may be, hips, elbows, shoulders, and that was what me and my trainer focused on the most. Aside from the aesthetic, we had to make sure that my body could keep up with the schedule and the fights.
And we know you don't do stunt doubles, correct?
That is correct. On this one, absolutely not.
Wow.
All right, I just asked that. Can you? Yeah, okay. Madam. Madam. In the Philippines, we always call everybody Madam, sir. So sorry, I apologize about
I love that. Can you teach that to my children?
I can call you Madam the whole this here, the author of the book, Andrzej Sapkowski.
Sapkowski, yeah. That was pretty good.
Thank you. That was really difficult because my family name is Guidicelli, so it's kind of difficult. But Sapkowski's harder. Okay, I got that right. Okay. Sorry, you're the best.
And I think, as a writer, I would be terrified of turning my work over to someone else and saying, let's see your take on it. Obviously, it's also a very popular work.
It's crossed two loves of mine, PC gaming and fantasy genre reading. And to have this so close to being released is an incredibly exciting time for me, and I can speak for Lauren saying the same. And we just can't wait for you guys to watch it all.
December 20, everybody, The Witcher on Netflix. Alright, let's please stand. Let's remove these chairs. Let's walk off here for a while. Bye, everybody.